Okay, it's time for another interview, and this time or who am I kidding? It's not an interview; it's a discussion. It's with Exo Baby, formerly Vile Wolf. Thank you for, thank you for, uh, you know, agreeing to be a part of the documentary.
Of course, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I usually start with just asking the people how they got started with Twitch. So let's start there.
All right, so maybe about a few years ago, I kind of got into gaming, of course, over Fortnite. Tried the whole Twitch streaming thing on my PlayStation, but wasn't really serious about it. Um, and then fast forward to last year during COVID, I struggled with not being able to go out. I mean, I live in Hawaii, so we were shut down for a really long time. And I am a very social person. So for everything that I normally did got shut down and I wasn't able to see friends and things like that. I kind of started getting into like little hobbies and I started playing Fortnite a lot more. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, Twitch. I could probably start streaming, talk stories with people. Never really thought about the whole aspect other than I could get to know people, I could talk stories, ask people how their day was. So, long story short, I went down to Target, got a cam, plugged it into my PlayStation, started playing games, and next thing you know, I just started meeting people, and it really kind of started making me feel better because I started meeting people that were in the same situation of kind of feeling lonely. And it was so nice to kind of be able to um, get out of my own head and think that I was the only one that was feeling like that. So it's been really, really, really great. And I think it's been a super cool journey from the get go.
Right, and I'm basically the same way. I said to my best friend told me she used to stream on Twitch, and I told her how I always thought about doing it, and blah 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 blah, and she's like, why not just do it? It's not that
Yeah.
hard. Just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think that it's really difficult, and it is a lot of time management that goes behind it.
Yeah.
But like if you really enjoy like talking to people and like getting to know people and being a part of that, then it's really not that hard. And it's kind of nice to be able to put yourself out there and meet people that are in the same situation
Right.
as yourself because not everyone like around you is going through the same thing.
Right.
So
Right. Um, I'll even say that it's not like it's not the idea of putting yourself out there and you're going to instantaneously be comfortable on camera and instantaneously just going to be making conversation with people and yada yada yada. It's going to take time because I started streaming in September, so I probably would say it wasn't until maybe February or March where I was comfortable, like really comfortable. Just a new person would come into stream, and then I would just start talking, pick up a conversation. So it's not like comfort wise, you're not going to get comfortable instantaneously.
exactly. But I mean, just putting yourself out there to try
Right,
and get to know people is
right,
what's super awesome. And like not everyone is going to be exactly the same. So
right.
just like you, me starting in September, even being a person who is super comfortable talking in front of people, it was very different. And I think everyone can agree it's a little awkward to talk to yourself. Even though people are on the other side of the screen, you're not really in a conversation and you have to like read a message and reply like using your voice. So
Yeah,
I think that was like really difficult for me was not having that response back. And that's why I think like great for having Discord. You can have like talk stories through that way as well. But um, I think just that in itself was a little awkward for me at first.
no,
But
yeah,
now it's just kind of like normal, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was used to it because I did YouTube for 6 years, so I was no 5 years before that, and my first few streams were me. It was just me,
Yeah, of course.
and I got used to it, but you know, it still takes a while getting used to hearing your own voice, and it gets used to, just getting past that. Um, I mean, I don't want to say comfort level, but like that barrier, I guess, of you know, y- you're you, you're friends with this person, but they're not there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And not really knowing who, like, I know so many people by name, but not really by face because a lot of people want to be kept like
Right.
behind the screen, but still want to be a part of your life, which I think is really awesome too. So like people can still get out and like say the things that they want to say or need to say without giving too much of themselves, which I think is really great too, because half of the people that I meet are really shy people who are
Oh yeah.
not willing to kind of put themselves on this side, on like the streaming side, but love to be a part of conversation.
Oh yeah. One hundred
So,
percent. Yeah. I can definitely say that I've met a ton of people that fit that build, and
exactly.
I've not even been doing this a year. I've met a ton of people who fit that build of they like to talk and they like to hear themselves talk, but they don't want to be the center of attention.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I'll even say that to a point. I don't like being the center of attention either, which might be ironic considering I'm a broadcaster. But at the same time, it's like, you know, well, talk. I mean, you could talk a little bit about like the fact that even as a broadcaster, if you're playing games with other people, you also want them to feel a part of it too. So you don't want to be the only one talking. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think what I think is really awesome is like a lot of people tend to call it my stream or my community, which I really don't like to refer it to that way
Right.
because as a whole, as all the people that I've met through this and who have helped me or supported me grow to be able to find all these really amazing people, I really refer to it as our community or our stream. So
Right.
I don't really like to think of it as, even though I'm the person that's sitting behind the cam, like that's why I really opened up my Discord to having people talk because honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. I love being the center of attention, but at the same time, I feel like it sometimes can get very overwhelming and I want people to feel like they're a part of something.
Right.
And that was really another whole thing of me starting the whole community thing. And I kind of thought about it for a little bit and I was like, I was at first kind of against like the whole Discord thing because I was like, I'm not sure I want to be. You put yourself out there to kind of be a role model for
Right.
people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a lot to put on your plate to be something or show that you can be yourself to especially like younger people, which I find a lot on Twitch as well.
Right.
But to be able to open up like discussions or games or just hanging out and talking with other people, I feel like it makes it more of like a community get together. And at first, when I was first starting streaming, and I really would like to get back into this, but we would do those things like Friendsgiving, where we'd be on Discord and everyone could join if they wanted to. I
Mm-hmm.
want to get into more of those kinds of things. But I feel like there aren't a lot of streamers that are like that. Like it's been countless times where I've tried to go in and I try to find somebody who's all about their community. A lot of people play games, and that there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I feel like having those people who are like really into making sure that chat is like um a part of their stream is
Mm-hmm.
super important too.
Right. Right. And I always avoid saying the words "my community," "my stream," and for the same reason why you do, because it's about that feeling of integration and making them feel like they're a part of something. That's why I started Viewer of the Week, where it
Yeah,
was just a it's just a unique way to get people to yes, it's a way to get attention for the stream because you see Viewer of the Week in a title and it's like, oh, what's that? But it's also the idea of some random viewer that sometimes either sparingly comes in or always comes in. Just it makes them feel like your viewer of the week this week. Oh, cool. A lot of people seem to, I was surprised how many people actually care about that title, viewer of the week. But it makes it makes me feel like okay, it's something that I should keep doing because people actually care about winning it.
Yeah. And I think that like putting those like little personal touches of like really including them by saying like I love when people come in and tell me it's their birthday, even if I don't know it's their birthday, and I'm a horrible singer. Let's just be honest. Like, I'm no Mariah Carey, but I definitely love like singing happy birthday to people just because like even if it's not your birthday, like just the fact that somebody goes out of their way to kind of make it special and like about you when you um join a stream like that. Like I feel super special when I go in and I say something and someone replies to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
especially in the middle of a game or things like that. Like I think just like those personal touches and like awarding people with like viewer of the week is super awesome and is a really great way to like include your community in what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean that's why I prefer playing games like Among Us and I love Minecraft and those games like that allow for mass quantities of people to be able to join the server or join a room or whatever the case may be because it allows for the most inclusion into the stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but that's where that's where I feel like in some cases stuff like this, you know, like we've been talking about, but also the buzzwords of community and it's not all about me and stuff like that is stuff that is normally avoided in the big the interviews with the big streamers because you know even though they don't necessarily like I hear Jacksepticeye say it all the time of you know how it's how he's grown more to saying things like if he's not going to enjoy a game he's not going to play it, he's not going to play it just for the views and stuff like that. Some people I feel like, especially new streamers, I feel like they feel, oh, the only way I'm gonna get noticed is by playing a game like Valorant because, this big YouTuber played it, or Fortnite because a ninja, or whatever the case may be. But that's not always the best way to do it. Speak on that for a little bit.
Yeah. So same thing. Like when I first started streaming, I am and probably always will be a Fortnite player because it's something that I enjoy. But I definitely know how that feels. Like kind of um, because it can be kind of how to say it's a challenge to want to bring new people to your stream. Like I'm
Hmm.
very thankful for the people who come every day and support me, like yourself. I appreciate that. But wanting
Of
to
course.
grow your community even more, and the only way that I felt like I could do that was by playing other games. So
Hmm.
like downloading a million games, and of course like being able to play other games that people are interested in
Hmm.
is like one way to get people to come to your stream. But at the same time, like if you're not enjoying yourself, then there's no way that you can be yourself, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So I am a wholehearted Fortnite lover.
Hmm.
I don't ever get tired of the game. I do rage on that game,
You
but
do.
it makes me the happiest.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm the most open and I'm the most of myself when I play that game. And I think people can enjoy that a lot more because it's something that I enjoy. Whereas I'll start playing Valorant and completely zone out because I'm so busy worried about like, am I doing good enough? Because the people who are coming in to watch Valorant are probably looking for somebody who's great at this game. And it's not for me.
Right.
But I think just having being able to enjoy yourself through a game or being able to sit down and talk and enjoy yourself is the biggest thing. Like I know like when I first started streaming, Wicked was my first actual viewer, first sub and everything, and I'm so thankful that he's still here and he still puts up with all of the stuff I put everyone through.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me when I first started streaming that if you're ever gonna be successful in streaming, you need to remain yourself. And if I believe that if you want to introduce people, then you need to be yourself, because if you're not yourself, then you're basically lying to everyone.
Right.
And I think it's a really great way for me to come and blow off steam from an entire day of work and having to act like not myself, to be
Yeah.
able to find people who genuinely like me for my personality. You
Right.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So I I think that as long as you're enjoying yourself, you don't have to play those big games like Valorant, or like I sometimes kind of feel like a little bit overwhelmed, like if my viewers are dropping, and I think that's something that everyone goes through
Mm-hmm.
when they're trying to get their broadcast out there, and that's like totally normal, and I don't really like blame it on myself or anything, but then sometimes I do get those thoughts of maybe if I played bigger games that were the newest or the best games, people would view me more, but I think it just wouldn't be the same.
Right. Right. And I'll say that, like, I will admit my first stream, it was bad. Like, I streamed golf with friends, and because of the amount of dropped frames, I only got maybe 11 minutes of a stream that went for 2 hours.
Oh man.
But then, well, because I didn't know the specs of my computer, I did not know anything, and I
Yeah.
realized that I was stretching my computer so much that it was that that because I didn't change certain aspects for the stream, it negatively affected the stream.
Yeah. And that's another thing to take into consideration when starting to stream, is definitely the amount of research that goes into wanting to play those kinds of games. Because I have a pretty decent PC, but I can't stream COD.
Right.
I'm not a COD player, and I'll admit that. So it's okay.
Right.
But every once in a while, I do want to go on and rage on COD, and I just can't do it. So
Yeah. You want to join the fun?
yeah, I don't want to call it fun, but
Oh. But that's where, like, I will say that the only reason why I have the community that I have right now is because of Among Us.
yeah, and I love that because I I actually am like really really thankful that you still play Among Us, because every once in a while when I want to play Among Us and I can come and join, I am not very good at it. But I think it's a really great way of bringing your community together and everyone having fun.
Yeah.
I can never, I mean, I never was based around Among Us, so I don't really have the people for it. So it's always a bummer if I want to go on and play, and everyone, I grew a Fortnite community, so everyone wants to play Fortnite when I'm on Fortnite. But
Right.
uh, Among Us, I love because you just have, I mean, honestly, we're just testing our friendships in that game, right? And that's what I think is the most fun, is because you get to know each other on this platform,
Oh
and
yeah.
then now you have to trust each other,
Yeah.
which I think is makes it even more interesting, because you don't really like know the person, in like you don't know them in person, so you've never really been able to interact in a way that you would with like an IRL friend or anything like that.
Right.
So I think it's easier to lie to them, in
Right.
my opinion. But
Yeah.
it just makes it super interesting, and I think that that's really cool that what you're doing, because I started doing creative, and I think I just get way too frustrated on Fortnite to even allow so many people. Um, but with Among Us, it's so short. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You have like those small little bursts of. I just like playing hide and seek because it's the only thing I know how to do. I can't lie. I'm the worst liar, and I always vent when somebody's standing next to me. So
Yeah.
it's difficult.
That's usually why I stopped venting. But
Yeah.
um, I've even that's where I I one person gave me advice that, I mean, many people have given me advice since I started streaming, but one person gave me the advice that, if you're struggling to come up with a schedule, pick a game that is that seems to be your most popular game and build your schedule around that. And that's why I built my schedule around Among Us, because even though Among Us does have its touch and go times where it's tough to fill a lobby, or because I know you don't like playing with randoms in Among Us. You usually like just filling up a lobby with the people from your chat. But
Yeah.
I'll fill up to a point with my chat and then fill in the empty spots with randoms. But that there are days where there's not many people wanting to watch Among Us, there's not many people wanting to play Among Us, etc., etc. But that's because of Among Us. That's because there's, you know, slow days and there's busy days for Among Us. But I'm sure but I know that's the case for most games. But it still goes back to the idea that my channel was built on Among Us like your channel was built on Fortnite.
Yeah. I know it can be very difficult, especially with everything going on right now with all the new games coming in. Like slowly games are like dying out, And I still think like any type of viewership is amazing.
Right.
The fact that people are sitting on the other side of a screen watching me suck at a game is more than I could ask for. So I'm like, the fact that people waste hours and hours coming to hang out with me is really all that I need.
Hey, that's me with
And
PUBG
I'm
Mobile.
horrible. Yeah,
That's me
exactly.
with
And I'm
PUBG
just like,
Mobile.
I just love it. I love having people come by and like I love seeing familiar faces. That's what I
Right.
really like. I like the fact that people come back. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right when it comes to um like the happiness of viewers,
Right. You know,
which makes me happy.
right, right. I completely agree. And when the funniest thing is when a viewer that hasn't been around for a while comes in and is shocked when you actually remember them.
Yeah, and that's what I love. Like I'm horrible with names, but I try my hardest to remember people.
Mm-hmm.
But after like the second time that somebody comes in, then I like really remember them. Um, but I think even that in itself, that makes me really happy. If I join the stream and I haven't been there for
Right.
like a week and someone remembers me, I mean, my name is uh, in my Twitch name, but
Right.
just the fact that they can remember who I am
Right.
is really awesome.
Right. And I know that I may have, a little bit of an advantage because, Wrestling Express isn't exactly uh, a forgetful name because it's, a name that, sticks out because not everybody, it's not necessarily a gaming related name.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking of bigger streamers that I feel like in most interviews, bigger streamers hesitate to talk about how grateful they are for their community and how, you know, like they wouldn't be here for, if not for them because that's not what makes an interesting interview.
Hmm.
So I feel like in some cases, even though they would want to talk about that, and I'm not saying that the bigger streamers aren't grateful, I'm just saying that, when you're talking to, I've seen a number of gamers go on, what is it, Jimmy Fallon,
Hmm.
and that's not exactly what you want to hear when you go on Jimmy Fallon. You want to talk about how you did something special when you were playing this game, or how you did like the specs of Fortnite or the specs of this game or the amount of viewers or whatever, and you can't get that specific and that personal with that because it's like not something that sells tickets. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I totally get that. And I think it just gets like really complicated, and I'm sure that they would love to get to know their viewers and things like that. But once you reach a certain amount of people, it's really hard to like,
Right.
I mean, I barely have people come into chat and it's hard enough trying to play a game, um, and see how people are. and then remember names on top of that. And that's kind of why, like, a lot of the time, like, people are like, "You're gonna get big," and I really, honestly don't want to. Like, I'm really scared, like, of the fact that it's even possible. Like, the just how fast I grew was like a lot for me. And I
Yeah,
think that's why I kind of got burnt out at first, was just because like the fear of not having that, not having the connection with viewers or having the connection with my community. I don't want to be a big streamer, or um, I don't want to have to go through all that, you know? And like, I feel like being small um, is really awesome, I think, to myself, because you get to know people on a personal level, and you get to talk to these people and actually like be a part of their lives, like learn things, like,
right,
and they could be like the simplest of things, but they make me
right.
so happy that out of all people that they've met, who they've never met in person, feel the need to share something like super exciting in their life. And that's kind of what I live for.
Right.
And I think that it's a bummer to have all those big streamers, not be able to like talk about that because they don't sell tickets that way.
Right.
Um, but it's understandable.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, I mean, that's where I'm fascinated because I have been introduced to some bigger streamers, who get, 30, 40 viewers every stream, or sometimes even more than that, 60 to 80 every stream, and they're able to keep track of chat. And, I mean, I also think that's where your mods come in. That if you see, your mod answer somebody from earlier, then you could keep, you could stay and put, up to date with what's going on in chat. But I was fascinated by how well this person kept track of their chat, and just, you know, because of how many people were in the stream. But I also think that's where the mods come in, and having mods that are also active in the stream, and manage the chat and make sure everybody's doing well.
Yeah, I think mods are super important. And then also like making sure that um, you really know who your mods are.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first, starting to stream, like I really honestly modded everyone because I was like, like I'm having a hard time with chat. Like I was doing it off my PS4, so I was trying to do it off my phone, and it was really difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have like some mods who ask you to be mods and kind of take advantage of the fact that they have all this control now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Wicked has been the greatest mod to create my Discord server. I now have a new Discord server, but just those kinds of things, like to point me in the right direction of things that I never knew.
Right.
Um, and then really taking care of me and making sure to be in streams, and um, just being able to trust him with
Right.
things like kind of like my safety. He was like my security guard. That's what it kind of felt like, because there's so many people, like,
Right.
and you never know what people are going to say. And
Right.
I've been so thankful for that. And he also put in like what I have right now is, because I'm not really watching, like I am reading chat, I just don't have a chance to kind of like compile everything together. But it's really difficult for me to see like the actions of people from previous time, So we implicated on my stream that mods would choose mod because they're the ones who are keeping track of chat the
Right.
entire time.
Right.
So although I have a say, of course, and I have the final say, like if I actually really enjoy someone who's in stream or I've talked to them before, then I have final say. Or if I think that someone would be a great mod, then I put it into mod chat and they all discuss it. But just to have that um, team to really help you
Mm-hmm.
out, and then even like if I'm too busy in a game, to be able to look over and see that like mods are taking care of like new people who come in, which I love, by the way. Twitch is a new thing that shows like their first time messaging,
Mm-hmm.
because I can really kind of connect and realize like, oh, okay, this person is new,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I can give like a little bit more attention to the fact that this is their first time joining the stream. Even though I give everybody attention, you kind of give that a little bit more to so that they realize, like, like the next time I come in, this person is actually going to care about what's going on in my life.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's super important having those mods be able to be your backbone when you're too busy to look over a chat. And
Right.
then also to have like your back when you've got people coming in and blowing up or not following rules.
Right. Right. And I mean, that's another piece of advice that my much like you had Wicked, I had my best friend Sassy. She you know she didn't it was always a little bit of advice here, a little bit of advice there, but she's the one that said you can't mod everybody.
Yeah.
You may
And I
want to,
appreciate
but you
those
can't
people.
mod everybody.
Yeah. And I think that was really hard for me because I always see the best in people
Right.
and don't kind of like look at like what could happen, you know? I never take a look at that. So to have somebody step aside and be like, you know what, like not everybody can be a mod.
Right.
And let me take that away from you and I'll watch and see was probably the greatest amount of advice. Like you have no idea how many people I ended up unmodding just because of like inappropriate things that were happening on stream.
Right.
But yeah,
And that's where I would like one thing. I saw uh two streamers that one I used to watch, one I still watch here and there, that they have way too many mods. They have, I think at one point they both had like 8 to 10 mods,
my God.
not including the bots, not including Stream Elements, Streamlabs, those the chat bots.
Yeah,
And I said to myself, you don't need more than 5 or 6.
yeah. I mean, for smaller streamers, you really don't. And I think it's really good to kind of get to know your viewers as well and um like for me, I think it's really great to have people who are in different time zones. Like I wouldn't mod
Right.
everybody who's staying in California because for me that's 3 hours ahead.
Right.
Um, so it just doesn't make any sense. Like I would love to mod all of my like super everyone who comes in, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I really have to think about like what's the best, how are we gonna get the most amount done. So
Right.
for me, like it's really nice having B because she's from Hawaii as well. So she's
Mm-hmm.
able to be on for that entire time of the stream because we're on the same schedule, you
Right.
know?
Right.
It's also nice to have like when B's not here and maybe I'm streaming super late and I have someone who's 4 hours ahead of me, kind of be able to take care of like that
Right.
time. But at the same time, it's like I could also do mod things, so
Right.
not a huge deal if people can't make it or things like that. But I've never really, I think I have maybe 5 or 6 mods
Right.
and maybe like 4 regular mods who come in. But every once in a while, someone will stop in and do their job as a mod, and it's been nice.
Right. And that's the thing. I just reshuffled around my mods. The only person that I kept was Sassy, but I, made people VIP. Made some mods VIP. Took them out. Took them away because I will never complain about people not showing up. I understand that people have lives, and just the fact that they want to come in, vibe for however long they want to come in, whether they're a mod, whether they're a VIP, it doesn't matter. But it just felt like it was getting to the point where other people were more like people that were qualified to be mod were coming in, and people who were mod weren't.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes it can be a little hard, especially when you start making connections with people
Right.
to because it kind of feels like really personal, right? When you decide like we're gonna unmod you or and I think what people need to understand as well is you have to do what's best for the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And if people can't come in, I'm the same exact way. I don't want anyone to ever feel bad that they can't make it to stream because I totally get it. I mean, I can barely make it to my own stream sometimes. So life is always going to be life,
Right.
and there will always be tomorrow. Um, and there'll always be other streams that'll happen. So for me, it's like very important that people understand like it's not necessary for you to be there. It's not a job. Um,
Right.
it's more of just kind of like a hobby, and I really appreciate the people who do come in and
Right.
really help mod my channel but I get that there's other things in your life that you have to do.
Right.
But at the same time, if you decide that you're not going to be in stream a lot, then I also want to be able to mod someone who can be in stream,
Right.
you know, and give it to the people who are able to do it because for me, it helps out stream, it helps out new people coming in, and then just keeping stream appropriate, which
Right.
is, I think, the whole point of having like a safe community. Like, I would hate to go somewhere and, like a person has 6 mods, but unfortunately none of them can make it, which again is not a big problem. But you have like all these people who are coming in and harassing people or calling people names, like, but you have these people who are regulars who
Mm-hmm.
would be able to do that. You just haven't had the chance to mod them or things like that. But it kind of would put pressure on a new viewer or even just regular viewers to come in and kind of have things like that happen,
Right.
especially in a stream that you really enjoy watching. But I could see, I have been in a few streams where they didn't feel the need for mods. They thought that they could do it on their own, and lots of arguments would start in comments. And um, I just had to leave that because for me, like, the reason being on Twitch is to make me happy, to kind of watch people enjoy themselves, and just to kind of see like somebody come back from playing a game and like reading all of these negative hate comments and just like the look in people's faces and like kind of almost like the embarrassment for me, like myself, like just to have somebody come in and call people out in my stream, even if like we've known each other. I've had issues where people who are regulars would come in and say like inappropriate things, and me knowing very well it's not intentional. But from the outside of people coming in and maybe not saying anything and just kind of lurking, we have to make sure that those people also feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to go into a stream and kind of feel like, oh my gosh, well, this is like really inappropriate, or I kind of feel like they're picking on me.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really important too about having mods is like just them like being able to assist you with that.
Right. And I feel like the mod. I mean, the last interview I did was with a person who was mod for like multiple channels, and we went through what the importance of a mod and blah 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 blah, and just the idea of the mod being looked at as a step below the broadcaster, and it needs to be somebody that is able to act a certain way to not, I mean, I guess, embarrass the broadcaster for having that role.
Yeah. And not feeling like this sense of power. Like, I've also struggled with people
Right.
that way as well. Of like, I mean, the ban hammer is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love a good ban, okay?
Oh yeah.
But I had like some people who were just like felt the need to ban everybody. And I also don't want people to come in and think that one inappropriate comment is going to lead to somebody getting banned, because I mean, some things are funny and
Right.
a
Right.
lot of people have different types of humor. And I'm a very open and honest person. So, like, things like inappropriate things don't bug me. Like, it's not something that really gets to me. But, like, disrespectful things are what I can't stand. So,
Right.
like, I noticed that a lot of people, and like a lot of people who modded for different streams, were kind of bringing their idea of what a stream should be or how people should act in your stream as well. And that's where it was kind of getting difficult because I felt like everyone was getting banned left and right. And even though it wasn't something that really offended me or I felt like was offensive, that would have gone perfectly with my type of stream, um, where people were getting banned for that. So I had to go through a lot of the bans and kind of
Right.
wipe those clear. But once you go in and like, let's say I come in and say something that maybe you're having a conversation about something, it sounded like I had something good to say, but one of the mods didn't like it and banned me. Of course, I'm not going to come back to the stream because now I feel like I'm not welcome.
Right.
So I think that's super important as well, is to be able to, for those people to understand, like, there's a certain way to act as a mod.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you have the power, just like the broadcaster does, that you're also setting an example for everybody else
Right.
that's in the stream. And
Right.
it's super important to kind of understand like who you're representing at the same time. When this person is kind of putting their entire life on broadcast, you know?
Right. And that's where, like, I mean, I know every broadcaster gets it where they have viewers come in and be like, oh, can I be mod? Can I be mod? Can I be mod? And, you have to think about, okay, can this person be a mod? No. How do I say it in a nice way that I don't want them to get mad for me saying no?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to think, okay, I may not be able to make this person a mod, but can I make them a VIP?
Yeah, exactly.
You
And I
know,
wish there were other like I wish Twitch would have different tiers, you know?
yeah,
Because I feel like we can't mod everyone, right?
right.
But we just have like VIPs. I wish they would have like regulars or something like that that we could give these people because we have like people who come in and they're there all the time with like I like to reward VIPs to people who've watched over 100 hours because everyone's trying to compete for watch time, right?
Yeah.
But then But then I also feel like I want to give back to people who have been here, who come every day, and maybe they can't be there so
Mm-hmm.
many hours in a day, you know, which is also understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you can't really give them, you want certain people to feel really special and you want others to feel special, but like trying to figure out like the in betweens and everything
Right.
to have that is kind of where like the struggle is as well. And kind of trying to figure out what is the best way to get people who are in my stream to feel the type of feel that they're appreciated.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like even with VIP, there requires some sort of semblance of how to act, and you're not gonna act crazy because it doesn't look good if you're a VIP acting crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just the idea. Like, it's also, I always thought, well, you don't want it just to be VIP mod, all down the chat log, because then people who don't have a role will feel less willing to type, which is what the mod I spoke to in the previous interview um, talked about, how you can't, basically the reason why you can't mod everybody or you can't VIP everybody, because it makes people feel not included just seeing the symbols next to people's names.
Exactly. And I never really like thought like fully on that. But I totally get that kind of like coming in and feeling like maybe you're not as important as the other people.
Right.
I think that's something you really have to think about. That's really great advice.
Hey, I mean, that's why I made the guy one of my mods. um, but that's where, I mean, there are people that I look at in my stream and I say, yeah, if they only knew how to act, they would know. They come in the stream every day. They're here all the time. They always want to play. They always want to be included, but they just aren't the most welcoming person, and aren't always aware of how they're acting, like, because they know how they act around us, but we know how they are, and a new person may not see that as, oh, they just got to get used to them.
Yeah, that's what I mean by like you really need to have somebody who knows how to have fun and like be themselves, but also realizing that uh certain certain ways of acting are meant for certain things. Like you can't always act like for me, I'm like way out there and tend to be really blunt. And sometimes I have to kind of take a step back and realize, like,
Right.
okay, these people who are coming in don't really know who I am or what my intentions are. And sometimes I have to take a step back and realize, like, okay, maybe I need to be a little less blunt with new players because I can be very aggressive.
Right.
And not intentionally to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm a bully, and it's just a part of the way that I am. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say bully, I don't mean like intentionally trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but I tend to just get into games like way too hardcore
Yeah.
and take it way too personal myself. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my regulars understand that that's just the way that I am, and I really honestly love everybody. It's just my personality is really out there, and
Right.
I need to understand that
Right.
sometimes it's not appropriate to do it and give people time to get to know me. So same thing with like the mods, giving people the chance of realizing, okay, like this is a really great stream. The mods are doing their job. The broadcaster is having fun, really welcoming. I enjoy watching this. So like I feel like it's like a big family that everyone has to do like their own individual part
Mm-hmm.
for it to run smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, Now, well, I know that uh, we spoke a little bit about the formation of your community earlier, but I know that a lot of games similar to Fortnite, Call of Duty, the battle royale type games, don't always have the most non toxic community or the most
Yeah.
understanding community. Have you captured any of that in Fortnite, or would you say that you don't see normally that side of that game?
I don't honestly, speaking of like toxicity in games, I have not seen a lot of it in Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I see it a lot in creative, and it's kind of why I've kind of strayed away from it
Right.
for a bit because people just get very competitive, and it's totally understandable. I do the same thing. Everyone rages. It's totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
But for like battle royale games, I feel like it's very, I don't know. I think Fortnite, and the reason why I've stayed on Fortnite for so long is because the community is way different.
Right.
Um, and it tends to be a lot younger crowd. Um, and I feel like that's probably why.
Right.
I've tried multiple times to kind of get into COD. I actually, before I started streaming and before I started playing Fortnite, I actually played a lot of COD and I really enjoyed the game. But the community is just not for me. I tend to mute my mic and mute everybody that's in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a bummer because I feel like it doesn't ever feel like people are enjoying the game. They're just enjoying being mean to everyone. And it's not somewhere that I can really see myself. And I've told people multiple times, like, everyone wants me to play Warzone or play Team Deathmatch and stuff like that. And as much as I would love to open up my stream to more viewers of different kinds of gameplay, I've just noticed that every single time that I've opened it up for that, I've gotten like negative, um, like comments and chat, things like that. And maybe it's just me. I'm not sure, but for me, it's not worth it
Oh,
to play those games. Even if I enjoy them, I'd rather play them off stream than open it up to kind of like feeling attacked.
oh yeah. I mean, indirectly, I was referencing Call of Duty's community because Call of Duty's community is extremely toxic. But I completely agree that that's the case, and it's just like when I would play. Even when I would play Call of Duty Mobile, people would come in and be like, "Oh, do you want a 1v1 sometime, or do you want a 2v2?" Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I've done 2v2s twice in COD Mobile, and both times ridiculously boring.
Yeah, and I think that's why I try to stay away from even in Fortnite. I don't 1v1 people. I don't do those kinds of things because a lot of the time, and I feel like a lot of the time, people tend to take advantage of broadcasters, which I also don't really, I
Right.
feel like a lot of people don't talk about. And I feel like it's a very important like subject, you know, like you don't have to do everything that everybody wants you to do. Like I love taking suggestions
Right.
and having people feel like they have a say of what goes on in stream because it's also like I said, it's our stream.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like you need to figure out like what honestly makes you happy and what doesn't. And
Right.
like for me, when I first started streaming, opening it up to 1v1s and 2v2s for me was one really boring, and then two, I just kind of felt like I was being picked on the entire time, which made it not interesting, or I wasn't very happy because I felt like, especially in Fortnite, right? Everybody is the best builder and things like that. And like,
Right.
I
Right.
play the game for fun. I'm not a great player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't claim to be like ninja or anything, but um, people come in and they want to show their skills. And I just don't really feel like
Right.
I'm on the level of doing those kinds of things. But, and then you kind of get like, you open it up to like creative and stuff like that, and like it's fun. It's really great to have 16 people come in and play and like share the same interests as you. But at the same time, like everybody just gets so toxic, and like I feel like people will start forgetting like we're playing this for fun. Like please
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. Like we're doing this as a community, not
Mm-hmm.
to make anybody feel less. And I think like just being in COD and other games, I've just noticed so much more like toxicity, and it's just not what I want in my stream.
Right. Right. I completely agree with you. I completely agree that um like some people just like have even if you say just pass along a certain rule, and then somebody just keeps talking, and they're like, well, they like to keep talking because they want to show off to their friends. Oh, I was on a stream on Twitch. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, if I was your friend, I'd say, oh, okay, you sound like a tool.
yeah, and that's another thing is like as like not only on like a broadcaster's point of view, but like from a viewer's perspective of it's not like what people need to understand. Like when you're going into a stream and these people are here like putting into a lot of work, like you put a lot of time and effort into making a place for people to feel welcome,
Yeah.
and like not even just that but also like money to put into your like stream setup to be able to run these things,
Mm-hmm.
and for someone to come in and act completely inappropriate, or like not only does it ruin the mood for the broadcaster and the people who are trying to enjoy the game, but it also puts the broadcaster stream on like on a red flag for Twitch, you know? Like that's also like another thing is just being able to handle those kinds of things.
Right.
Like
Right.
um being able to, even though you're very upset about like what's going on, like smoothly get rid of things that are like that are
Mm-hmm.
happening, and like realizing how to handle situations that are like that. But just I kind of sometimes wonder like what people are thinking when they decide to do things like that in the middle of someone's stream. Like what could really possess someone to feel the need to make it toxic?
Well, yeah. I
And
mean,
it's really like you don't have so many rules, you know? Like
right.
it like one of the top rules is just positive, like
Right.
I just want positive vibes. That's it. Like I don't ask for much. Like I even said I don't like stream sniping, but I still let people stream snipe me. Like I'm like my biggest concern is that we just keep it friendly.
Right.
That's all I ask.
Right. Like I know we've had to deal with hackers in our Minecraft server, and somebody we had to deal with griefers during stream, and I got pissed off. I got pissed off at the people for not listening to the rules, and I finally just said, okay, it's done. We're banning them.
Yeah. And
It's
sometimes it gets to the point where it's just kind of like it already creates like a bad mood.
right.
And like sometimes I'm just like, um, it goes to the whole point of like you don't know what's going on in people's lives. And like I've had multiple times where I've had negative things happen and things that really affected like my mental health, which is the whole point that I started the community,
Right.
was to get away from like the negativity that was happening like IRL,
Right.
and be able to put myself out there and say like, yes, like shitty things do happen, like life sucks, but at the same time we can still enjoy it. There are still really great things that are happening.
Right.
But for people to come in and kind of like put that on the line for you, not realizing what people are experiencing outside of Streamlight, um, is what's crazy and kind of throws me through a loop. And I've had points where I've completely just quit stream, like turned the stream off because I was just so overwhelmed with
Mm-hmm.
the negativity that was happening. And I feel like it's very difficult. And I feel like being on the other side of the cam, like I also don't want to say the wrong things to hurt anyone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get banned because I'm trying to create a positive space for people.
Right.
But at the same time, it almost feels like not being able to stand up for yourself
Right.
sometimes. And I think being able to handle those kinds of situations in like a really like professional way, and being able to step aside and be like, like this is really childish, but I can handle it, um, is really important as a broadcaster. But just being a viewer, like if people could just take a step back and realize, like, okay, like yeah, there are shitty days, and maybe this person is having a shitty day. Let's
Right.
not add to it. That would be
Right.
awesome.
And that's where, I will put my mods on the spotlight here to say most of my mods, it won't take much if somebody's acting out in chat for them to be banned.
Yeah, same.
Which I am more than willing to give my mods that freedom.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think like at first, like I really wanted my mods to kind of discuss with me because of all the bad experiences previously with my previous mods, kind of having people who I felt like didn't deserve to get banned did get banned. I
Right.
felt the need to kind of say, hey, like I want you to reach out to me and ask me if it's okay to ban this person, because I would hate to ban somebody that I felt didn't really deserve it.
Right. Right.
But as I got like deeper into these streams, I started realizing that maybe something that was said in stream didn't really affect me as a person, but it could affect somebody else.
Right.
And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of stepped aside and realized, like, okay, I had a discussion with the mods and just said, if anything in stream makes you feel uncomfortable, or you feel makes someone uncomfortable, I want you to call out like the rule, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if the person continues to do it, because some people come in, it's a joke, like I get it, like you made like some dark humor joke, maybe it offended somebody, you give them like a warning. After that, you just ban them, because I don't want to have to deal with, I would rather lose one person who felt like it was okay to say something inappropriate and it was a joke, rather
Mm-hmm.
than them continuing to do it and I lose people who've been here for a long time who've supported me,
Right.
because I don't want it to look like I don't care.
Right. Right. I mean, I know we could talk about this all day, but now to a different topic, and that is, how has Twitch changed your life?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we could talk about this part all day too. So I think it's changed my life in a lot of different ways. So much. I'm so thankful for so much, because honestly, coming into this entire thing, I never thought in a million years that I'd meet so many wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like sometimes I'm in just like so much shock that in such little time, I mean, I live on a little rock in the middle of the ocean. So I don't really have like lots of people here, to get to know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But just to meet like so many people of different ages, different walks of life, and going through different things, or maybe even just the same thing, and being able to like open my eyes of like what's going on in the world. I've met people who live on the same island as me that I went to school with that I never interacted with. I'm talking about beat, but just like these small things of
Right.
like the fact that I just decided one day to buy a cam and start streaming on Twitch led to me having all of these people who
Mm-hmm.
actually care about me and message me and see how I am, and me reaching out to these people and people who are halfway across the world.
Right.
To me, that in itself has changed my life. And I'm so thankful for all of those people. But at the same time, it's also changed my life in ways like my confidence level has gone up tremendously. Anxiety levels and things like that have gone down. I've been able to create a space where I felt like maybe things that I couldn't talk about or feelings that I couldn't show to people who I am in IRL or in real life, I feel like I can come here and like be a part of a family that cares, but isn't so personal that it's right here that I feel like I can't be open and honest, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, it's like my buddy said, another streamer, he's like, it's the only, Twitch is the only place where a kid from Missouri can make friends with a kid in Australia.
Exactly. And I think that that's super awesome. Like I've been able to meet people from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes like what I love is when people come in and kind of say like that they're going through a rough patch in their life. And
Right.
like I know that oh too well. Like there's a lot of things that can happen in someone's life. And I think just being able to reach out to those people, like I would have never been able to do that
Right.
without Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be able to share like huge events like um, people having babies and people graduating from high school, like even just like the whole spectrum of all these things, or like weddings or small things like getting new tattoos and like everyone just coming together to celebrate these new things that are happening in their life, I think is amazing. And I'm so thankful to have been a part of that and to bring all these people together that they feel like they can.
Right. I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, I never I never imagined that I would have, friends in England and friends, a friend in Hawaii, friends all over the U.S. I mean, I never imagined that.
Yeah, and I think it's super awesome to be able to say like one of these days I would love to be able to meet people that I've met on stream that I've known for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just super awesome to think that you could create a friendship online, not meet people face to face. Like everyone gets to see my face, right? But I don't really get to see everyone else's.
Right.
But to be able to create a connection and realize like, this person really enjoys it, even though they don't know me in real life, really enjoys like my personality, um, enjoys playing games with me. We have some of the same interests and stuff like that. To be able to say like, hey, maybe one day we could like meet up. Like if anyone wants to meet up, I'd be more than happy to fly to the mainland and meet a couple of people. I think that that's really, really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, from knowing you for the time that I have, which I found out yesterday was that I've been following you since December. I actually followed you.
It's
I
crazy.
actually followed you on Christmas Day last year.
Oh man.
I I I checked the followage. Um, which, yes, you're right. It is crazy, but now I do remember because I was distributing. I had bits out, and I was giving away bits to random people, and I just popped into your stream, and thus far I haven't left.
Which I'm so thankful. It's so nice. Like I love to be able to go in and same thing like you, like give back to different streamers and hop in streams. I'm not the most active at being in streams, but I do pop in every once in a while. So
Yeah.
everyone's stream that comes and hangs out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's super awesome. Like I love seeing like followage. It's super awesome to see like how long people have been around for.
Yeah.
And that really did surprise me though.
I mean, I saw a guy was in stream last night, and he was in my stream last night and he popped up followage and he's like 7 months and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like same thing. That's why I started streaming in September, just like you. And like they've been there for a long time. I'm like, I know you've been here for a long time, but to see the amount of time like
Yeah,
show up on follow is just really, really surprising. And to think like, hey, you've been here for that long, like, and you haven't left.
right. And it's just the idea of I found out later he came over in a raid from somebody else's stream because I rated, like I rated the somebody else from that same community, and they mentioned the guy by name, and I'm like, that's how you found me. That's how you started following me. You came over in one of his raids. Just like the
Yeah.
amount of, you know, I, I mean, I don't want to say like viral marketing that goes about with Twitch because it's not technically word of mouth. It's
Yeah,
more
but having that opening of having those raids
right,
happen and
right,
like it's amazing how far those things can go.
right.
Um because I same thing. Um I've like met super awesome people that maybe didn't really like for you for example and like um even like Pootie was a great example. Was just so happened to be lurking in someone's stream, and he was watching wrestling, and somehow they ended up. There was two raids that happened, and it ended up in my stream.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "I would have probably never clicked on it, right? There's some that I would have never clicked on, but I
Right,
just so happened to take that step or rated someone and they rated someone, and I ended up really liking that streamer
right.
and like really enjoying like what they have just like by a click. So I think it's super important that I try to every single time that I stream, regardless of the amount of views, we could have two views and it could
Mm-hmm.
be me and a mod or me and some person who's just lurking. I try to raid
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like get people out there because I mean something even that I may not enjoy, someone might really enjoy.
Right. And
And
nothing beats the getting a message from somebody saying thank you for the raid. I really appreciated it.
yeah, and I think that's so awesome. And I feel like the Twitch community in a whole is really, really positive.
Mm-hmm.
Streamers are really awesome. I've met some really great streamers as well as viewers, but the experience in a whole has been positive for the most part.
Right. And I'll even say I'll even tell you because you know him, Specs. 2 days
Yeah,
ago, I raided Specs, and right after the raid, he messaged me on Discord thanking me for the raid.
yeah. And I think that's like if you don't have time to do it like right then and there, that it's great for people to reach out and kind of like thank you. Like I love the fact that people come together and just say, hey, like, and even just the trust that you have in somebody to bring over your viewers, like people who are there. Because by the time you end a stream, right, sometimes you have a couple of new people, and most of the time you've got like some of your regulars who are just sitting in and watching.
Right.
But to be able to take someone, I actually made the mistake of, and I didn't read any of the information that was on there. Now I try to get one of the mods to choose, or if somebody in chat has somebody that they want to
Yeah, I do the same thing.
recommend,
I do the
yeah.
same thing. Mm-hmm.
And I tried to hit people who are on the lower scale of viewers and trying to reach affiliate or something like that. Lately, it's been really hard to find people. But I tried to reach those lower viewers so that they can be boosted up and maybe somebody really likes their content and sticks
Yeah.
with them.
Mm-hmm. Or I've been, I also have my normal people that I raid. And if I have somebody on my followers list that I never raided like Specs, then I'll be like, okay, I've never raided them. Let's go ahead and raid them. Or like I know I recommended to you Master because Master puts in the work for his raid video. And it's just like a
Yeah,
great introduction to his stream, and I praise it every single time I go into a stream,
Yeah, that was awesome.
you know. But like, um, but I got various people like I'll say Lone Shark, who may actually be a part of this documentary. The reason why I will always gravitate towards rating him is because he's the only reason why I have emotes. Because he did my emotes for me, no
Oh,
charge.
that's super
He
awesome.
did he did he did my emotes for me, so he's the only reason why I have emotes. So if any way I can give back to him, I always take the opportunity to give back to him because he could have said no.
Yeah,
He he could
exactly.
he could have said no. He could have said no. You're gonna pay for him, and you know you're gonna pay whatever $70 for him, or I think that was the price that I was gonna pay for him, or maybe like $45 a piece or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's really great too, is like you can get together this community that certain people know how to do certain things
Right.
that maybe you don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to kind of like make these connections where you can say like, hey, like I would be more than happy to pay for them. And someone can say, you know what, like you don't have to
Right.
because we're great friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you know like ways to help them out as well.
Right.
Like same thing with Wicked. He put in all that time and effort to make my Discord server and all these things. And the best way that I could help was by helping him reach affiliate.
Right.
And as much as like it doesn't involve like money, as much as I would love to be able to hire people to be mods, you know what I mean, to be able to do those kinds of things, it's just
Right.
not possible at
Oh yeah.
where I'm at or where I
Mm-hmm.
want to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Hundred
But at the
percent.
same time, being able to give back to the people who give you is
Mm-hmm.
a great feeling in itself.
Exactly. And well, I know one thing that is very important to you from being in your streams is mental health.
Hmm.
And there is always an aspect. Usually, I save it for last for the discussions to talk about mental health. And so now, if you don't mind, would you want to talk about your little hiatus that you took, and when you went through the rebrand and just that process?
Yeah, of course. So there were a lot of personal things that were happening in my life and a lot of like self-reflecting that I felt like I needed to do. Um, I feel like a lot of people or a lot of broadcasters, we put ourselves out there, and as much as it's easy to just sit there and talk, which I was doing a lot of just chatting, um, it's also very mentally um, uh, complicated, I guess.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot out of somebody to kind of put themselves out there. And for me, I don't um, talk about it a lot, but I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So some days it makes it very difficult for me to, even if nothing super crazy is happening in my life, it makes it very hard for me to get in front of the camera and be myself
Mm-hmm.
without having some type of mental breakdown. So I felt like with all of the streaming that I was doing, even though I enjoyed it and I love my community so much, it was becoming a huge toll on my mental health. And I felt like I really needed to take a step back and kind of rethink streaming again. And kind of, I was starting to get to the point where it kind of felt like a job. And it felt like I was starting to stray away from what I originally intended to start streaming about.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I needed to kind of take that month away to kind of um, self reflect and kind of remind myself the reason why I fell in love with streaming to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why I kind of thought over the rebranding, kind of trying to stay true to myself and kind of figure out why I wanted to do this and why I felt like I needed to do it. So over my month, um, I went in and out of changing my name because originally I started off as Vile Wolf, and I'm not sure if you know this, but the reason why I had Vile Wolf was just because I'd stole my husband's PS4 and started learning to play Fortnite. I enjoyed it, and that's when I started playing on Twitch. And I kind of at that time didn't really know like what Twitch was about. I didn't know about the whole community thing. I just kind of thought like, people are gonna be in chat and like I had no thought process of like who I thought I was or who I thought I wanted to be as a broadcaster. I never really got that chance. And my stream had just kind of taken off so quickly that I didn't really get a chance to grasp that. So while I was out on my month, I kind of put together my stream a little bit better, got new emotes, things like that. But I also kind of wanted to think like, who am I and what do I want people to kind of see? Because from Vile Wolf, it kind of I didn't resonate. It was just a name that I had picked off from someone else. So in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, when I first started streaming, I kind of felt like I wanted to be secretive of who I was. I wasn't sure if I wanted to share my name or my life
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of felt like when I first started, like these people weren't going to care.
Right.
Like they were just going to want to play games, you know?
Right.
And as I got into this, and right before I went out, I was kind of like, this has turned into more of a family. Like I know these people and I talk to these people more than I talk to people I know in real life. And
Right.
it kind of felt unfair because I was giving people this name that didn't resonate with me, that I didn't really have a meaning for. Um, but some people I'd introduce myself as Sai. And um, it's not my real name. It's not my full real name, but it's a part of my name.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most of my life, I've gone by my full whole name, and I only let people who I felt were close to me call me Sai. It was very weird letting people call me that. But as I started kind of getting to know these people, I realized, like there's no reason for me to hide. Like these people care. And I don't understand now that I'm thinking of it why I would think that they wouldn't. But that's kind of the whole reason why I decided to change my name to EXO Baby. And even though some people were like, we don't like the name, I was just kind of like, like I'm tired of introducing myself as Vile Wolf because it doesn't really say anything about me. Like when people come in and they say, like, how do you say your name? It's EXO Baby, but I'm Psy. So it's more centered around like the actual persons behind the stream.
Right.
So I felt like that was really great. But again, with the whole mental health thing and kind of being able to take that break and step aside and kind of say, like, hey, like you're doing too much. You need time for yourself. You need to be able to take care of yourself because I'm so involved with everyone, and I love that, but almost kind of putting myself on the sideline and not taking care of myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's super important for people who are going to start broadcasting or are broadcasting. If you ever feel like you're in a rut and you feel like you're stuck, like to take that extra break or take that extra day. I sometimes feel like I'm letting people down when I'm not on stream
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really have a schedule right now, but I tend to be on certain days.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel completely horrible and like I let people down when I don't show up.
Yeah.
Um,
I know the feeling.
yeah.
I know the
But at the
feeling.
same time, I have to talk myself into taking these breaks because I don't want to get to the point where I feel like it's not worth it anymore because it is definitely worth it.
Right.
Meeting all these people are worth it. I would do it 10,000 times all over again, maybe a little smoother, and maybe talk myself into taking little breaks when I need it. But I would do it all over again if I had to.
Now, was there anything with the name change to start forming your own identity as opposed to maybe being an extension of your husband's identity because you took
Yeah,
his name?
definitely. You get a lot of people who come in and kind of ask, like, why is your name your name? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of felt like um, in the beginning, it really was just a name. And I didn't feel like I had stolen this name or anything like that, or I felt like it was me.
Right.
But as soon as it became the point where like all these regular people would come in and refer to me as this name, it kind of felt like I needed to separate myself
Right.
because at the same time, like it didn't mean anything. Now, if I had come up with the name myself, definitely I would have stuck with it. And like I love the Ring of Vile Wolf, and it was a great name. It just to me wasn't what I felt like was me, I guess.
Right.
as plain and simple as that is.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, I know that, like, if you could give, I know we've, given little nuggets here and there of advice for new streamers, but I know a lot of people have been affected in a variety of ways based on the current, global situation. And, now that we're coming out of it, somewhat coming out of it, that, the situation might be going back to how it was. But if people, like, in your opinion, would you say that it's better to come into Twitch with no expectations or come into Twitch with expectations?
No, that is like a really hard question because I came in with no expectations. Um, and honestly, I wouldn't even know what kind of expectations I would come in with, because it's completely different than what you think you're going to get yourself into. And it's always going
I
to be
agree.
different for different people.
I agree.
So I think coming in with the love of what you want to do and just the idea of what you want for yourself and for your community is probably the best thing to go in with because it's so up in the air. You're
Mm-hmm.
not really going to know what you get. I mean, every day is different
Mm-hmm.
when you're streaming. So I feel like just knowing what you want,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not worrying about what everybody else wants or what everyone else thinks,
Mm-hmm.
because not everyone is going to like you at the end of the day. And
Right.
you're not always going to be someone's cup of tea,
Right.
but you will be someone's cup of tea.
Right.
Not everyone can hate you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the best way to go in is to have expectations for yourself. Because if I could do it any other way, I would have created goals and expectations of myself and like what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do. Because you can't please everyone.
Right.
So I think that's the most important thing when you're coming in as a new streamer.
Right. And, I'll even say that I never expected half of what I've done on Twitch, and I've done it in less. Both of us have been on Twitch for around the same time. Maybe within a couple weeks of each other, but I could never have expected that. I thought I was gonna, I just started doing it just for the sake of doing it. Just give it a try, see what happens. And there were times when I was streaming 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's
And it's
like,
because you love it,
right,
you know? And that's the thing is like put all the time and all the effort that you want to put into it and things will show. Like had I've gone from the beginning where I had so many followers and um like followers each stream and like lots of viewers and it made me happy. You know, at that time it made me
mm-hmm,
happy. But now like months later, even just with fewer followers every stream, fewer viewers, I'm still happy. So I think it's so important to just remember like at the end of the day, your happiness and your community's happiness is the most important
mm-hmm,
and just being thankful for it and for making people feel like you actually care.
right, and
Like, don't come on if you feel like you're just gonna be toxic, you know?
right, and that's the thing. And it's like I, you know, have the same, mental health issues that so many other people do. Depression, anxiety, etc., etc. But streaming puts me on such a high some days that it allows for a little bit of an escape from those
Yeah.
negative thoughts. And then you look forward to tomorrow's stream. Or the one thing I would agree with you on is the importance of taking days off.
Yeah. And I totally feel you on like the whole streamer high. I get
Mm-hmm.
that all the time. And sometimes it's really nice to be able to kind of break away from everything that's going on in your life. And I kind of wish, honestly, now that I think about it, like having those days for me to take off now, to really pay attention to myself and my needs and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
are really great. I wish I wouldn't have taken off so much time. Like if I had paid attention to what I needed and um, listened to my body at the time that I was doing all of this, I wouldn't have needed to take a whole entire month off because now it's really hard to get back in to like the groove of
Oh yeah,
streaming
I agree.
as much as you want. But definitely take that time for yourself and really
100%.
appreciate like what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Um, because otherwise you may not want to come back.
Exactly. And of course, I kind of thought about it multiple times of quitting, but I felt like I was making like split second decisions of ending something that I really loved just because sometimes I wasn't feeling okay.
Right.
And it's not worth making people feel good if you're not feeling good because it's not genuine, you know?
Right. And I mean, one thing that I've been talking about in stream for the last probably like 3 weeks or a few weeks is the fact that on September the 3rd, I'm going to be celebrating 1 year on Twitch,
Oh, awesome. I'm definitely going to have to be there. I
which
hope you're
is,
going to be
which is,
24 hours
ins-
straight.
which is insane. The fact that it's going to be 1 year on Twitch is insane.
Yeah, the year did go by very fast.
And well, no, I'm going to be doing Wrestling Express Week where I'm just going to, co-streams and, you know, a few things because um I know the documentary will be out either around that time or whatever, so it doesn't really matter talking about it then. We'll be talking about it in whatever it's called, ahead of time because I think everybody would know this stuff is pre-taped, but if not, surprise. um, but my year anniversary on Twitch lines up with National Suicide Prevention or National Suicide Awareness Week or Prevention Week or whatever the case is. So I was figuring on doing something tying streams into that to show people that it's stuff that it's okay to talk about, and that it's that if you see a broadcaster talking about issues that he's had with that, and stuff like that, and putting that aspect of society on front and center, that it would make it easier for other people to want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. And I think those are really important things because a lot of people don't see it as a comfortable subject for people to bring up.
Right.
And I feel like even though we're not like very big streamers, just to see somebody who has viewers and to see people who have followed you,
Mm-hmm.
for you to open up about things like that, I think is really important because it's probably it's one of the most important things I feel like that people really need to hear that other people are struggling with. Because even though, like, I know millions of people struggle with depression and anxiety, I definitely feel like on those down days that I'm the only one that's battling with it. And
Right.
I feel like it's also very hard to open up to even people who have struggled with the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's facing their own battles, you know. And I feel like it's really important for someone to open up and say, hey, no matter um, what severity you feel like. And I feel like with people who have depression and anxiety, you always feel like, am I depressed enough or am I anxious enough? Like, I
Yeah.
know that I battle with that all the time,
Yeah.
and feeling like I don't want to put my hardships and my feelings out there when I know, because I've been told so many times while growing up, is everybody's going through something hard.
Right.
Someone's always
Mm-hmm.
battling something harder.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, for people to be able to say like, hey, like this person is going through the same amount of stuff as me and feels like it's okay to open up about that. I feel like it's so important for people to realize like,
Right.
you can say that you have depression or you have anxiety, no matter if you just get a little bit of anxiety, or maybe you don't even know it's anxiety.
Right.
And you feel like it's affecting you, like mentally, you are able to say that. You have every right to feel that way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I even said that you know that a lot of people just charity stream and it ends with the charity stream, but it shouldn't end, because the only way you're gonna keep to make it a subject that is able to be talked about is to talk about it when it's not pertinent circumstances.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people base a lot of things like on certain times, right? Like as if it's a holiday and it's the
Mm-hmm.
only time that we're able to talk about it. And I think that's what's really great. And that's why for myself, I got affiliated with the clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
And like being able to support something, I mean, I wear millions of jackets now, but being able to support a company that um, talks about this and puts it into clothing that people can wear, things like that, like just as simple as that, and being able to put my little pitch out there of like, like if you are any type of supporter of mental health, like to get something from here, because I feel like um, being able to wear something that kind of like shows my feelings makes me feel a little bit better, and then just knowing that there's other people out there kind of supporting that. And I know I haven't done any charity streams yet. I'd like to do one eventually, but to be able to say like a part of that is going to go towards something that I wholeheartedly believe in and
Mm-hmm.
support
Mm-hmm.
is what's really great. And I could care less about any of the money that comes in on Twitch. It's not the reason why I do it.
Right.
But if anybody wants to go on and buy a jacket and put money towards any type of mental health awareness, like, that's really awesome for me.
Right. Right. Well, now's when I usually tap into my inner Sean Evans from Hot Ones. And but um, I try and reason out the interviews of just mix them up a little bit, but um, if there's any final thoughts or anything you want to say before we wrap up, I'll give you the opportunity now.
Okay. I think my biggest thing is just have fun with it. Enjoy every step of the way. Be thankful for everything that comes your way. Make sure you're enjoying it, your viewers are enjoying it. Do what you love. That's my biggest thing to say. You're going to get into streaming. And never feel guilty for taking time for yourself because you definitely deserve it.
I completely agree with that. Now this camera, probably the only camera, probably the camera that you're looking into. Let people know where to find you.
You want me to let people know where to find me?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So you can find me on Twitch as XO And thank you so much, Mike, for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk over this stuff with me.
Hey, that's why I'm doing the documentary.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.